Hey, what's up? All right, Brandon, founder of NOVAEO. I wanted to do this video for you because, in all honesty, this role that we're recruiting right now is probably pretty different than any role you would have had in the past. Because what we're looking for is not really a very traditional financial controller, financial lead, or maybe it's perhaps becoming along those lines. But I would say let's just call it a more progressive role. And so what I mean by that is, we would really like for you to come to the table with tons of knowledge and tons of experience for all traditional financial strategy, financial management methods, knowledge of traditional financing, going to traditional banks to get traditional loans, lines of credit, to be able to manage these relationships, to know what it is that they're looking for, what they would look for, so that when we go and approach these folks, we already have some things set up that'll make things look more attractive to those whoever we're asking for financing from. Like all those traditional things, credit card usage and blah 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 blah. But on like the more progressive minded stuff, we're hoping that you would also come to the table with some of this, but really you would come to the table with a mindset, a perspective, and most importantly, an interest in doing research on your own, networking online on your own. So like Facebook communities and Reddit and all the stuff that's out there, networking on your own to learn more about other things that are out there that aren't the traditional way of doing things. So, most notably is all things crypto. I'm not super up to speed on crypto myself, just because I've had my mind on the business for the past couple of years. But there are people on the team that are pretty knowledgeable about crypto, enough that where I'm involved in conversations to know that there's a lot of stuff out in the crypto world that we could be taking advantage of right now. And I'm not just talking about like buying and trading coins, but there are stuff like crypto accounts that you can earn pretty safely like 20% interest on, because ultimately you're putting your money into a pool, and then a decentralized crypto, I guess it might be, I don't even know if it's a coin or what, is then able to use that money for lending for high interest. And so then the money comes back, and that's why we're able to get high interest. That didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's okay. Point is, I don't really know this stuff that well, but I know that there's stuff out there that exists. Then also other like little odds and ends. Like just recently we learned about how, it's going to be important that you are studying, United States-based stuff. Just recently learned about how you can be creating retirement funds around alternative things like real estate or even businesses, whereas the more common knowledge of most Americans is retirement accounts would be like a 401k or just putting money into like a Roth IRA. But you can actually do IRAs that are for real estate. So like we could buy real estate with our IRA. Like that's the kind of stuff that we need to start learning and start communicating with the high level strategists on the team. So we need to start learning about it and then start, executing on it. Other little stuff like, you can do credit card blitzes. Well, I guess it's not really a credit card, but a credit blitz. And so if you're unfamiliar with that term, it's basically a very procedural, very systematic method where you might open like 15 to 20 accounts, credit accounts, whether it be, let's see, the last one that I've seen, it was a bunch of credit cards, like 0% interest credit cards. There was like home loan loans, various lines of credit, and basically a systematic approach where it's like, okay, open this account, then open this account, then open this account, open this account, to where ultimately you could score probably around like 400 grand. I mean, obviously it depends on what your credit and all is, but for us, it would probably be around like 300 to 400 grand at 0% for like 12 months, and then you can either pay it all off or start paying an interest. So that's a credit blitz. Then there's also other things that you can do on the personal credit side. So keep in mind, really this is like personal credit, and we are a subchapter S LLC, so like that's why it's so tied to personal. So there's other stuff you can do where it's not a credit card blitz, but you can be opening these accounts to extend your credit, and then I think it's like every 3 months you do it again, because that's how long it takes for like soft inquiries to get removed from your credit report. So ultimately, if we do such one of these things, I forget what the name of it is, it might be like a credit ladder or something like that. If you do these things like every 3 months, you're getting like another, I think they said like 50 to 70K every 3 months, extended credit. But you're also just building your overall like pool of credit, which is great to do. Here I got some notes on some other stuff. Oh yeah, I am a disabled veteran, a disabled military veteran in the US. And so that gives me access to tons of stuff through the government. So the SBA, the Small Business Administration, has a lot of stuff out there, for example. And there's all kinds of like these like little tiny grants. Like I just read about one that's just like a $15,000 grant, but it's free money and might be eligible for it. Just have to go through some paperwork. So it's like, why not do it? So like researching this kind of stuff and then going after it would also be, a big part of this. And it's not really just like, what are we eligible for? It's also the mindset of, could we, finding some kind of opportunity, one of these alternative opportunities, and figuring out, okay, well, could we be eligible for it if we change this, this, and this? And would it be worth changing this, this, and this in order to be eligible for it? Currently, we are in an application process for the EIDL loan, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which was a big loan through the SBA that the U.S. government created to help businesses survive the pandemic. So we've already received $500K of that loan. It's very low interest. It's like 3-point-something%. It's over 30 years. So it's like really small payments. It's almost like free money in a way. So we already received $500K, but the total maximum of it is $2 million. So we just 2 weeks ago submitted our request for an increase to the full $2 million. So $1.5 million more on that net. And ultimately, if we get that, then that's going to create a lot of impact for us as well. Then I know this crosses over into the bounds of accounting as well, but stuff for taxes. Like, what would be the best way for us to strategize and plan for taxes? Now, there are all the traditional ways of doing things, but there are also the more like secretive ways of doing things. And never want to do anything illegal, never ever. But there are some things that you can do, like starting businesses in other countries, and then channeling money through those other countries. Again, crypto stuff, just moving assets around, blah, 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 blah. Where, again, nothing illegal, but there are systems out there where I've heard a little bit about, and I just haven't had the time to really fully research myself, that it would be good to have someone on the team that's going to invest in that kind of stuff, and that would be you. And it's really like that element of the creative thinking. It's not just like what could we do today, but what would be a worthwhile thing for us to restructure or whatever that we got to do in order to achieve a high value goal in this realm of financial management, tax strategy, whatever. Let's see. Okay, yeah, something else that we just recently learned and started taking advantage of is we're used to taking loans out on or using like our credit score and that kind of thing, but apparently the business itself, even an LLC, has its own system through what's called like the Duns and Bradstreet number, where you can also get loans based on that, and they're not even looking at your credit score, and they're just looking at way less stuff. So like we just discovered that, and now we're taking advantage of that kind of loans. But then ultimately it's also the relationship management too. Like we've been working with Wells Fargo Bank for quite a long time, and honestly, they kind of suck. Like they suck. They're assholes. They are not a moral, they're not a moral business. They've proven that time and time again throughout American history, past like 20 years. And they're not, they don't treat us, even though we do pretty decent numbers, to them it's still tiny, so they don't treat us that well. And so it'd be great to find a better bank to work with. We also have entities established in Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory. And that creates more opportunity, but it also creates a little bit more like hoops we have to jump through sometimes, because our Puerto Rican entities usually can't get funding from most traditional options in mainland U.S. But, what is available to them? So we'd want to look into that. So yeah, I think that pretty much does a good job of describing how we're wanting to have like an alternative and very expansive perception of all things that are on the table for us, not just currently on the table, but things that we might want to work towards. So that's why I say that a big part of this role is doing things like joining Facebook groups and following Reddits and stuff like that, because I don't expect anyone to come to the team and like know all this stuff already. It's more about having enough information already, enough experience already to where you're going to be able to hold conversations with other people in these communities. And to be able to Google search and shit like that, I mean, that's a skill in itself. To be able to uncover these opportunities. So, I just named a bunch of opportunities that we know about like 20% information of. So that, immediately we would want to start researching those and have 100% information on. But, there's a plethora of other stuff that I've never even heard of, I'm sure. And so that would be a big part of this role as well. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to ask you to do a selfie video back and communicate, a little bit about your experience. I mean, I'll be able to see what's on your resume, but communicate, a little bit about your experience, your interest and your passion, and then ultimately communicate whatever you think would be pertinent to communicate to me, and I'm going to be sharing your video with some other team members. That's going to give us confidence that you are this person, because we are inviting you to the team to fill a role where a lot of us know that there's opportunity, but we don't exactly know how to get that opportunity, and we don't really have the time to invest in researching and learning ourselves. So that's ultimately the hole that you're being asked to fill. So give us confidence that you're the right person to fill that hole. Okay? If you have any questions at all, please ask. We are, not trying to play any games or create any crazy interview questions to stump anyone or anything like that. No, this is just a super transparent, super honest conversation that we want to have with you. And by the end of it, let's just make sure that we're both confident that we're the right fit for each other. So also ask us whatever questions you need to ask us to make sure that we're the right fit for you. Cool? All right, well, thanks for watching.